Welcome to the Marketing Pulpit Show, and I am Robert Gatewood, your host. We are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good of marketing gospel. We're not saving souls, we're saving businesses, saving jobs, saving our community. Now, if I happen to save a soul along the way, don't hold that against me. We'll just call that icing on the cake. Now, the mission at Marketing Pulpit Show is to build strong businesses in our community so that we can put our people to work. And we do that with business development, job creation, and service. So if you ever find yourself in a business crossroads and not sure which way to turn, just turn on the Marketing Pulpit Show because we're on a mission. The show is broadcast live from the illustrious Radio 1 studio. Welcome to the Marketing Pulpit Show, and I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. I am here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. Not saving souls. That was my dad's job. He was a preacher. I am here to save businesses, save jobs, save our community. You know what? There is a direct link between the success of businesses in a community and the societal challenges that is faced by that same community. So I take a circuitous route to get to solving these problems, and that's by building these great businesses. You build a good business, you can hire people, you can take people off the street, you have income coming through the house, you'll be able to educate your kids, all this good stuff. So there's a plan, there's a method to my madness. I'm Robert Gatewood. I'm a business developer by trade. I actually have a company called Gatewood Marketing and Web, which you can find out about by going to gatewoodmarketing.com. I'm also the host and producer of the Marketing Pulpit Show, broadcast on Radio 1 95.9 FM. And you can also get the show on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, X, even Instagram. So we're out here, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm also a professor at Prince George's Community College, where I teach marketing, I teach social media, I teach digital marketing, I teach networking. Worked in the federal government space as a consultant for the Small Business Administration, helping them in the technology area. Let's see, what else? Quite a bit here, as you can see. But it's not to brag, it's to talk about, you got to know your stuff. Just can't be getting this information from everybody. And I have a vast number of clients I've been working with doing this for a long time. They've been written a couple of books on the topic, Played in Full and Smarter Than the Boss. So thank you for tuning in this morning. I want to welcome everybody who's tuning in for the first time. You can get past shows by going to marketingpulpit.com. They're all categorized. You can just sit there on the homepage and flip through show after show. You can also search on categories. Some people just look, I want to find out a topic on a certain topic. So you want to find out about social media, just put it in the search. You want to find out about networking, put it in the search. You can also go to YouTube, just put it in the search, and we have a show about it. And we also have a great lineup of guests. You can find out about past guests, and they have been many. Speaking of guests, we have a great guest today, Miss Sharon Bennett. She is a financial advisor. She has a company called Success Smart VIP, and she's going to be talking today about, let me tell you something, folks. I've had a rough couple of weeks. People are leaving this planet. They're just leaving us. I mean, every time you turn around, somebody's leaving. We had Joe Madison leave, having a good client, Lenny Riggs, left last week. Before that, we had Dr. King's son, and before that, we had Tambria Jones, we had Randy Stitt, clients, friends, co-workers. So what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about contingency planning. We're going to talk about, are you ready? Is your business going to survive if you don't? I'm not trying to be morbid now, but I thought about this myself. Will Gatewood Marketing continue if there is no Robert Gatewood? Would there be a Marketing Pulpit Show if there's no Robert Gatewood? Well, some people that might be their desire. They want to take their business with them. But what about the people that are working for you? The people that the stakeholders, vendors, suppliers, and contractors, stakeholders. They want to know. So we're going to bring in Sharon. She's going to talk about that today. She's going to talk about some things you can do to prepare. And I'm going to do a topic today on a segment on contingency planning. Welcome again. You can go to marketingpulpit.com. You can find the show, listen to past shows. And once again, thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time, if you've been on before, like Brand Leader Model. Come on in. Let's find out. Let's talk about this thing. Let's talk about it. Let's see what else is going on. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about the news. We got to keep you abreast of what's going on. And also, we'd like to thank our sponsor, BLE Executive Suites. They have been sponsoring this show for quite a few years now. Go to blesuites.com. They have a special right now. If you need answering services, if you need a mailbox, a business address, you don't have to leave the community to get these fine services. They have 3 locations if you want a private office or virtual office to use as needed, or conference rooms for training. Go to blesuites.com and find out more. And they have a special right now if you just want a mailbox and a place to have your mail delivered, and an address you can give out so you don't have to give out your personal address to all these strange people out here. BLE has a special right now, 50% off your first order. Whether you're in the DC area or not, you need somebody, you need a mailing address, and you need somebody to answer your phones. Call them at 301-322-1700 and put in the code BLE50. Just mention that code, and you'll get 50% off your first order with BLE mailbox and business address service. And tell them Gatewood over at the Marketing Pulpit sent you. All right. Thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. Let's talk about, and this also is still celebrating Black History Month, which was started in 1926 by Carter G. Woodson. Started out as National Negro Week. It was expanded to a year, and we are celebrating that this month as well. So we're going to bring on some dynamic guests from our community, starting today with Miss Sharon Bennett out of Charlotte, North Carolina. That's the other thing too, folks. Just because we're based in the Washington, D.C. area, this show is broadcast all over the world. I get calls from Africa. I get calls from England. I get calls from the islands, Carolina, New York, you name it. They calling. And I see my guests over there in the green room warming up. Sharon over there doing jumping jacks and planks and squats and all kind of stuff. So she's ready, y'all. We're gonna bring her on in a minute. Let's talk about a couple items in the news. You know, this is actually the Super Bowl week. If you are a small business and you want to get your business off the ground, go ahead and hand over the $7 million for 30. I had to do a Fred Sanford on this one. $7 million for a 30-second ad. Did I see that right? Yeah, okay. $30 million. $7 million. But what they're going to do this year, because of some of the controversy in the past, they're taking it safe this year. I think Bud Light is still reeling from they did a trans-based ad, and they got boycotts. And I think everybody remember the famous GoDaddy ad, the lady with her top kind of halfway hanging out, but that one actually worked. Got some people to join the GoDaddy family. That was a Freudian slip. Let's see what else is going on. Meta, which is also Facebook, they want to start tagging and labeling AI images. You seen these artificial intelligence generated images on people's ads and in their social media posts, and they're taking celebrities and creating their images where they're putting some metadata in that file, so that this is what Meta is saying, so that you can disclose that this image was generated using artificial intelligence. And they're proposing that become the law of the land. And I'm gonna tell you something else, folks that's using the chat GPT and all this good stuff. It's just a matter of time, and they're already doing it, just telling you. They know that it's chat GPT. And if they don't know now, they're gonna know later on. So don't think you're fooling anybody. So if you're gonna do it, go ahead and use it for maybe to help you organize your data, but not to generate your content. I mean, I use it, but I use it kind of to organize and maybe check for grammatical errors and things like that. Just letting you know this technology. I'll tell you who else found out about technology. Marilyn Mosby. She was the state's attorney in the state of Maryland. And she's down there. She bought a house that she just went to trial, and she was convicted of 2 charges of mortgage fraud. Once again, now you think she would know better, but this technology, all the bad guys, just give it up. You're not going to get away. Just going to tell you. Now, Miss Mosby, who was 44 years old, she bought this property and she got some money during the pandemic. I think she got about $80,000, and she used it to close on her properties. And she had a $5 gift. I guess when you go into settlement, you need some more money. So her husband wrote her a check for $5,000, and to find out the $5,000 came from her, she gave it to her husband. Husband gave it back to her. Paper trail. Can't get away with this stuff. That's basic. And of course, now she's in hot water. She's been found guilty. Hate that. Hate when that happens. Sharp sister too. She was involved in the Freddie Gray trial, and those police that were somewhat was accused of being responsible for his death. She prosecuted them. They were all let off the hook. But she's a very progressive young state's attorney from Maryland, and now she's on the wrong side of the law. Here's an interesting story. They found out there was a 5-year study that found out that Viagra can reduce your chances of getting Alzheimer's. That's interesting. That's right. This 5-year study of around 260,000 men, older men, were taking Viagra, and 18% were less likely to develop the disease Alzheimer's, which impairs memory, thinking, and behavior. So now when you older guys go out and have a good time, at least now you can remember the good time you had, just in time for Valentine's Day. All right, let's talk about, I'm going to quickly, and you're listening to the Marketing Pulpit. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. We're here every Friday, 10:30 a.m., bring you the good marketing gospel. I'm a little cheerier today than last week. Man, we've been hit by deaths and all kind of things last week. So I'm feeling better this week. And I'm telling you one reason I'm feeling better, because I have my special guest warming up, Sharon Bennett, who's going to help us navigate how we can prepare in case something does happen. So hang on for that. But I'm going to lead into that, though, with my little marketing sermon for today. What it's about: contingency planning. Contingency just simply means getting ready for potential risk and how you're going to deal with it. When I write a business plan for someone, I add a line of contingency plan. Sometimes it's 15 to 10% of the total budget. And somebody, wait a minute, Gate, when I'm healthy, I'm careful. I'm not going to need that money. You might just throw that into the advertising or put it in my pocket for additional payroll. Contingency is because we don't know what's going to happen. Now, if you take that 10% and go buy yourself a crystal ball, okay, maybe. But most of us don't have that luxury, because I understand they don't work. But let me tell you some of the things about contingency planning. If you're going to do a contingency plan, these are some of the elements that you should include. One is risk mitigation. Identify what your potential risks are. Now, in this digital age, I'm telling you, many of you are not giving enough, you're not putting enough emphasis on the possibility that your digital background or machines or software, you think they're going to work all the time. You might put that as part of your contingency plan and risk mitigation. Also, part of your business contingency plan should include business continuity. As I spoke about earlier, if something happens to you or some other major catastrophe, will the business continue? You have to put that in your plan, okay, in your business contingency plan. And also part of your contingency plan should include some type of timely response. You can't wait for like 2 years for it to kick in. So you have these things that are ready to go, just in case the inevitable becomes evitable. The owner passes, a major player passes, the basement floods, you get hacked, and there's a lot of that going on. What is your contingency plan? Now, I know a lot of small businesses, like, we got bigger fish to fry. We're actually trying to get the orders out the door. We're trying to get employees on the job. You're trying to pay your rent. Well, you're not going to have much rent if your building goes up and you didn't have some kind of plan. Now, here's some steps to develop a plan. First of all, identify the risk and prioritize the risk. Okay, maybe fixing the carpet might not be the biggest at the top of the list, okay? Maybe you want to get that carpet clean if somebody spills something on it, but you might not put that at the top of your contingency plan. Some other things. Develop strategies for each contingency. Computer hack, death of the owner or some major player, major competition comes to town, Walmart moves across the street. Have a strategy for these potential risks. And designate responsibilities to the people who are going to take care of those risks. You can't do it all. Yeah, you're part of the contingency. So communicate and document and share. Boy, you're talking about a segue. That's a segue for your behind. Document means have it written down somewhere. You can't just have a contingency plan walking in your head and you go out here and get hit by a bus. Your contingency plan just went out the window. You got to write it down and share it with somebody. But that's easier said than done. So get a contingency plan, follow these steps, go back and watch this show, share it with others to make sure that you have some type of plan, because people are leaving here. And it's not just people dying that's causing these companies to have stress. It's about not being prepared for things that might happen. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a quick break. This is the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. We are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. And I want to say hello to a couple of folks. I see Brother Brown, my man, the greatest plumber in town. Good morning, Brother Brown. And Brand Lee said that drug can be harmful to your heart. I guess she's talking about that Viagra drug. You might remember, but you might remember also that you had a heart attack when you took it. Let's see, what else we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. So hang on. Recognize a couple of sponsors. And when I come back, I'm going to get Sharon from doing her jumping jacks over here and get her on camera so we can talk about this contingency planning. This is the Marketing Pulpit. We'll be back in a moment. So hang on.
One cup of greens per day will lower your risk of dying from heart attack or stroke by 30%. Hallelujah. A half a cup of beans every day will drop you down by another 30% because of the fiber and the medicines in the beans will sweep away the cholesterol and the saturated fat. Half a cup of berries per day with all of the antioxidants and flavonoids will drop your risk down. And then finally, a fourth of a cup of nuts and seeds every day will drop your risk down by 33%. You simply eat those foods every single day and take everything else away that's destroying you. And we could eradicate heart disease, high blood pressure, and stroke. Glory! Hallelujah.
Register today and get ready for your health revolution.
Welcome back. This is the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday, 10:30 a.m., bringing you the good marketing gospel. We're not saving souls, we're saving businesses. Go to marketingpulpit.com, and you can find the show right on the homepage. You don't have to go to Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or Mitter or Litter or whatever, all these different platforms out here. Make it simple. Just go to Marketing Pulpit. That's all you got to remember. Also, join our business directory. If you have a company, you're trying to get some recognition, got a lot of folks coming in that directory. They're signing up. We feature people on our Facebook pages and recognize them on the show. So go ahead and get your name in there. Our special guest, Ms. Sharon Bennett, I see her company is already represented in the directory, and you should do it too. We got some free plans. We can upgrade you, bring you in the studio as a guest. You'll see on the homepage of the mpi.bz, where we actually brought in several of our advertisers into the studio at Radio 1, the 222 Productions, Minister of Wellness, Nathaniel Jordan, attorney Margot Thomas, let's see, Share, the entertainment company. So go ahead and let's get you out here and blow you up, make you some money in 2024. Let's see, we got comments coming in over here. Let's see here. We have Marcia. Welcome to the show. And everybody else who's tuning in from all over the world, thank you for tuning in to the Marketing Pulpit Show. Let's go to bringing my guests onto the stage here. And let me get this thing set up right here so we can see her. That's not doing it. Let me try something else here. So hang on there. Got to get me an engineer in the studio here. That's what I got to do. Put that on my list of things to do. That's part of my contingency plan. So I don't have to be pushing all these buttons, daggone it. Because, I'm just making a mess over here. So hang on. Let me get Sharon on the screen here. I see you over there. All right, hold on, Sharon. Hang on. I see you over there. Hang on. Let me put a different format here on the screen so I can see you. There she is. Good morning, Sharon. Hold on.
Good morning.
All right. Welcome to the show. As you can see, well, I guess all those push-ups and exercises you were doing were working. You're good to go. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing good, Robert. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm telling you, I'm better this week than I was last week. I was on here last week. I was a little teary-eyed and had some good friends and clients to leave me. And I said during that show that I got to get Sharon in here to help us prepare, because people are leaving here, and I want people to be prepared. And I think once upon a time we had you do a small segment on our show, and I said I was going to get you back. Well, I think the time is now, as they say in the old days. So first thing I'd like to do is let you introduce yourself and tell us about you and what you're doing and your organization. Then I got a few questions for you.
Okay. Well, Robert, I want to first of all thank you so much for having me back on your show. It was a pleasure the last time, and while I was waiting, I tell you that music, I almost started jump up and start shouting. I like that music. Thank you so much.
Let me tell you about that music. That music, the theme of the Marketing Pulpit Show was actually written by my brother Daniel and myself. That's an original composition. We went to the studio, knocked it out. Daniel plays piano and a few instruments. I played guitar and piano and a few other instruments. We sat down and said, look, we're going to create our own music. So thank you for acknowledging that.
Oh, yes. I thoroughly enjoyed that. And I also want to commend you on the work that you're doing on your platform. I mean, I know it takes a lot of work, and I know it takes a lot of work, and the topics that you're bringing are so needed. So thank you for what you're doing and the story behind your name. It was so inspiring to me with your dad and all of that. So congratulations on how far you come with your platform.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, I'm Sharon, of course, and I work with SuccessSmart.vip. I'm the chief financial consultant. We do some business consulting as well. Our website is www.successsmart.vip. And so, Robert, we're just excited to be here. One of the missions is to make a difference around the world by helping families become financially healthy, one family at a time. And we're really excited that you allowed us to come on to your platform to try to make that possible.
Well, you're providing a valuable service that's much needed in our community. Because, like you said, people are really unprepared. What do you think? People are so unprepared when it comes to their final wishes.
Well, Robert, one of the reasons people don't want to talk about it, they really don't. It's not a topic you just want to talk about. It isn't. But in life, what I've learned is sometimes you have to have the difficult conversations, because sometimes those difficult conversations can in the end be a blessing, to your loved ones. We have about 68% of Americans, they don't plan. They don't have a will. 68% do not. And another reason is they don't think they have enough assets.
Okay.
They think, well, I don't have enough to do a will.
They don't feel they have nothing that's worth preparing or saving or planning for.
They don't think they have enough worth planning for. And we can talk about that. Another reason is because, and this probably is a major reason as well, they think that it's going to automatically pass to their loved ones. If they don't, it doesn't always just automatically pass. And so that's the misconception a lot of people have. And then another one is they think they're too young. They think they're too young to do it. So those are several of the major reasons that people don't plan.
Now, when they don't plan, what are some of the bad things that can happen?
Yeah, and it's so unfortunate that we even have to have this conversation. But lots of times when they don't plan, those assets, whether it's a few dollars in the bank, whether it's a home, a car, young people think they're too young, but most young people have cars. They have assets. They have a little bit of money in the bank. They're living somewhere. They have clothes. And what happens is, if they don't plan, a court may have to come in if they don't have a will and assign someone to do that. That may cost money. So it really is, when a family is already dealing with the loss of someone they truly love, of course, that's already excruciating. But then when you're dealing with that, and then you're having to try to settle an estate with no will, it makes it even harder. And sometimes some people develop harsh feelings toward the loved one that they lost. They become angry because they left them in a situation where they have to figure all of this out on their own, when it could be really simple to just write down your wishes. And so that's what we're encouraging people to do. Have a conversation and write it down.
Now, I understand that there are certain things you should be doing at the bank where you have money that's pretty simple. I think you mentioned it one time before. I think it's worth repeating.
Oh, Robert, I'm so glad you brought that up. It's such a simple thing to do, but I can't tell you how many people don't do it because they don't know. People have a lack of knowledge. And one of the things that you can do if you have bank accounts, and I encourage everyone to do it. I did it. And the only reason, Robert, to be honest, I think the only reason I knew about it was because I've been in banking.
Okay.
So if you're not in the banking industry, or if it's not being shared, most people don't know. But if something were to happen to you, and we always say to you, but let's say if something happened to your loved one, Robert, because, most people are like, well, if something happens to me, they have to deal with it on their own. Well, let's say if it was someone you cared about, and something happened to them and they didn't have your name or someone's name on their accounts. If it came to the point where you needed funds to take care of their final needs, or you needed to pay bills, and you wanted access to their account, typically those assets become frozen. Right. You can't do anything with those accounts. But if you thought in advance and you called your bank and you said, you know what, I want my mom to be listed as, and they call it POD in some banks, payable on death, or they may call it beneficiary. They may call it different things, but payable on death, which means if something happens to me, I would like for my mother, my husband, my son, my daughter, someone that you trust, to be named on that account. So if something happens, they have access to those funds. And a lot of people don't know to do that. So what has happened, children or sons didn't have the money. They couldn't get to those assets because they were not listed on there. So that's a very simple thing. And another thing, Robert, I'm so glad you mentioned that. This is another thing that people don't think about. If you have a 401k at work, or if you have annuities, life insurance.
Okay.
What happens if you become ill, or your loved one becomes ill and they have to go into the hospital for 2, 3, 4, 6 months, a year? If they have life insurance and didn't name a trusted contact on those policies could lapse because they're not being paid. And if they're not being paid and it lapsed, if you're thinking they have insurance and you call the insurance company, they more than likely will say, well, we weren't getting paid, we weren't getting premiums, so that coverage lapsed. And that has happened to clients that I have known. And it was because no one was listed as a trusted contact. What that means is if the insurance company sees that your account hasn't been paid in a while, they can call that trusted contact and reach out to them and say, is something going on? Is something wrong? And then that trusted contact could say, oh, wow, yes, they're in the hospital. We didn't even think about it. And they can make those payments and that insurance coverage can continue. So I encourage everyone to make that call and make that happen.
But you know what, Sharon, I guess the amazing thing that I'm hearing, these ideas and suggestions that you're introducing are very simple. They don't require an attorney. They don't require a 10-year plan. In most cases, it's a matter of picking up the phone.
It is.
And you can do it the same day. Sounds like it. Something you can do it one day.
Robert. It is. Now your bank they will more than likely require that you come in because they have to get signatures from you and whoever you want to list on your account. So you have to do that. But Robert, you're so right. A lot of this is simple. And if you don't want to do a trust, or you don't want to, you can do a handwritten will, but be careful because different states have different requirements when it comes to wills and trusts. So I would encourage you to invest in your family, invest in yourself, call an attorney.
Okay.
And if push comes to shove, write it down. I would like from this person to receive this. I want this person to have this. Write it down. But you also have to get it witnessed. And there are laws and rules as far as who those witnesses can be. And of course, I'm not an attorney, Robert, so I don't give legal advice. But to be on the safe side is probably a good idea to contact an attorney.
I'm glad you said that because I don't want to put out there that you can do this by yourself.
Right.
And then you miss something that's very valuable piece of information and you lose all your assets because you're trying to be a shade tree attorney.
Right. And you know what, Robert, to be honest, when I was younger, I did a handwritten will because, I didn't have a lot. And I'm not saying I have a lot now. I'm just saying that was what I knew and I did it. But I did ask an attorney who was so kind, Robert, so kind to me because he was like, well, you know what? I'll review it and take a look at it. And it was okay. But I did have someone review it. But I'm not sharing this. These are things that I have done, things that I have learned that I needed to do. And not only that, but if you have children, especially if they're minors, this is something you need to do. But you also need to decide, well, if something happens to mommy and daddy, who do we want to be the guardians of our children? And there are people who have assigned guardians to their children. And sometimes they do the right thing, sometimes they don't. So really think and pray about who do you want to be the guardian of your children. Otherwise, if you don't have it written down, the courts will assign someone for you to be guardians. And it may be someone you don't want to be guardian of your children.
And you said a couple of things that really just stand out. One was that you can have all this money in the bank and you suddenly pass and now somebody's got to pay for your funeral expenses and they can't get to the money.
The insurance, Robert.
Right. That's almost sinful. That sounds really.
It happens. And if you think about it, Robert, just think about how many times you've gone onto Facebook and you've seen GoFundMe for sometimes wealthy people, sometimes GoFundMe because they didn't have the money. And what a sad way for someone to be put to rest in a way like that. You want to be laid to rest. You want your loved ones laid to rest in a dignified manner. Now, I get that sometimes you come upon hard times and you can't keep your policy. You can't. And your family may have to do that. I understand. So I don't judge anyone. But Robert, the spending power in African Americans households is $1.6 trillion. That's the spending power. So the money is there. So in most households, Robert, it's not a money issue. It's just the fact that it hasn't been done. So I'm encouraging you to please do that and pass those legacies on to the next generation. Do you know that the millennial generation, that beautiful, smart generation, Robert, for the first time in history, that generation is worse off than the generation before it?
Wow.
Because mainly things aren't being passed down to, or people are forgetting. And that generation deserves better than that, along with the next generation that's coming. The X, Y, Z's, the alpha generation, that beautiful little generation is coming about. And all it takes, Robert, is for us to sit down, start having conversations, executives doing things like you're doing, having people come on and talk about it.
Well, thank you. I know you didn't want me to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. You have a planner that you actually put out, and I'm going to tell you, I have downloaded it myself, and because it is such a good tool for people who are, I think Colette Jackson, one of the listeners who's tuning in, she kind of made a perfect segue into this. She said, undocument is undone. I mean, until you write it down, it doesn't count.
It's really not going to happen. It does.
So you have a tool that I have, and I know you say you want to come in and try to sell anything, that you want to just give out information.
Yes.
But I do think, this is my personal suggestion. Okay. This tool you have called, I think it's Pre-Plan Your Way. It's a success planner.
Yes.
And because you felt so strongly about this, there's one of the marketing axioms is that find a need and fill it, find a problem and solve it, and you will find success. So since you were so close to this problem, you've been a banker, a financial planner, you've been in the funeral industry, you have covered all of the bases. So if there's such a thing as somebody with an inside track, you are the embodiment of the person who would make such a planner because you saw the need for it. Just quickly tell us about this planner before we wrap things up here.
Okay, Robert. Yes, and you're absolutely right. I was looking for something for myself because I had seen something similar and it didn't have everything I needed. I wanted something where I could put my I have a lot of passwords, Robert, with websites and with business, my bank account. So I wanted something I could put my passwords down. So if something happened to me, my family would have it. But then I also wanted them to know where my documents. And so with this document, it allows you, it's a digital document, Robert. So it's not something you have to just write. You can type in your information. Military, if you're in the military, you can put that information because there are documents your family is going to need if they want to take advantage of some of the resources the military has. But it also helps you to lay out your plans. What do you want? How do you want your wishes to be laid out? Do you have children, medications? I have a pet that I love very dearly. Okay. I wanted someone to take care of my pet. If something happened to me, I didn't want my pet going to a shelter. So I actually talked to someone and said, hey, if something happens to me, will you be the guardian for my pet? And so I have that listed, So yes, this allows you to do what we're saying, to write it down. And it's a wonderful tool. You can go to the website. It is there. And you're right, Robert, I wasn't going to talk about that. But it is there for you to take advantage of that resource. And it's just a valuable tool for you to save. You can send one to your attorney, send one to your family. You can print it off, but it's a wonderful resource that we've got to start using. And Robert, I wasn't going to say this either, but do you know 87% of people, those of color, don't have a will? 87%. 87%. About 61% of white people do not have a will.
So short of a will, this document, even though it's not, would it be considered a will?
No, it will not be considered a will. What it is, there's some things that you can't really put on your will, but this document helps you. Like, for instance, if something were to happen to you, do you want to be cremated? It goes into all of that. One young lady, she told me a sad story. She said she couldn't find her father's information about his funeral, his will. So she had her father cremated. But later on, after his cremation, she found out he did not want that. And for years, she struggled with that. This allows you to put that information down. So when you do prepare your will, it's there. Or you can take it to your attorney and say, this is what I want. And they can help you prepare your will based on that, and it won't take you as much time.
You're right, because you're really taking some of that lawyer's going to be billing you by $500, $300 an
Absolutely.
hour doing some of this clerical work that you could
That's
have done yourself.
Exactly. And people don't know that they bill some of them by the hour. So if you have a lot of this already done, that's a smaller bill for you.
Well, Sharon, I'm telling you, this has been much needed. You've always been a great friend of the show. I felt this was the time. I know I think the last time we talked, it was during the middle of the pandemic. And so I'm glad that you're still around doing what you do, making a difference. And I can't emphasize enough how close you are to this problem. And I'm not sure there's anybody else out there that's more uniquely qualified to have touch and connect all of the dots.
And don't forget, Robert, like you, PK, so my dad, oh my goodness, he performed. Oh, yes. Yes.
All right. So, all the PKs out there. Woo, woo, woo.
Yes.
All right, Sharon. Thank you again. Folks, this is the information is on the screen for the planner, direct for the planner, preplanyourway.com. It's a great tool. Get that and start writing this stuff down. Those passwords, those final wishes. Do you want to be cremated? Do you want to be buried? Do you want to be put in a crypt somewhere? So whatever you decide to do. I don't mean crypt like in Los Angeles. I mean like the thing above ground. But anyway, and thank you everybody for tuning in. Sharon, once again, thank you for joining the Marketing Pulpit. We'll be in touch, and we'll see you the next time. And once again, any parting words?
Well, Robert, thank you so much again for allowing me to be on your platform. And my condolences to all of those who've recently experienced losses. Robert, I know in your world you have as well. So my condolences. But know that weeping may endure for a night, but one day for those who believe, joy will come in the morning. And we're here to help anyone who wants to go further on their journey.
Sharon, thank you again. Thank you for being a supporter and friend of the Marketing Pulpit.
Thank you.
Thank you. Folks, that was Sharon Bennett out of Charlotte, North Carolina. She has a company called Success Smart VIP. And she also has a journal called preplanyourway.com. And the information is on the screen. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Let's take heed for this good advice. And we're going to be back next week on the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. We are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. We bring you the good marketing gospel. And go to the Marketing Pulpit website. You can listen to the show and you can pass this valuable information on to others. And as I always close out, as Mr. Brown likes to help me say, if you want to be successful, you have to do these three things. Do the right thing, do it at the right time, and you have to do it right. Enough talk. Let's get to work.